Next topic we will be considering is domain namespace, or we can also call it as domain name system. The basic reason why one has to go with this one, or why do we need this thing is, for example, if I have to search something, where I will be going, I will go and I will look into google.com. Okay. If I have to do some searching, I will be going and I will be typing google.com. How does computer understand this one, google.com? It's not possible, right? Computer cannot understand name. So how it is trying to convert this one into some form which a computer can understand. So basically what is this form? Basically there will be some IP address, okay, which will be associated with this google.com, and when you type google.com, that conversion has to take place. Okay, so it's something like when I consider entire world, you are going to have in different places this Google servers. Whenever I am requesting for something, this particular system, like whatever DNS is there, it has to get that corresponding IP address of nearby Google server, and it has to get our system connected with that one. Okay, so basically we want to understand what is this DNS and how it is organized, and what are the domains we have, and we will be trying to see how a particular name or address is resolved. Like if you are giving a name, how we will be getting address, and if you are giving an address, how we will be getting back name. These are the things we will be looking. Okay. So the names assigned to machines must be unique, because the addresses are unique. For example, I give some name to a particular system. If that system name, whatever I am giving, if it is not unique, what happens is you are going to have confusion. Like when I specify a particular name X, whether it is this one or there may be another one with system X. There may be another system which has the same name X. So when I say like I want to connect with X, whether I am talking about this one or this one, that is the confusion you are going to have. So how are we organizing the namespace? How are we going to name a particular system? That is the thing we will be looking. So we have two ways. One is flat architecture and the one is hierarchical architecture. So when I consider flat namespace, what happens? When I consider hierarchical namespace, what happens? This is what we will be looking. So when I consider a flat name, a name is assigned to an address. Like for example, some IP address is there, 192.170.3.4 something, and I am going to give a particular name for that particular thing. And this name, how it will be is, this is sequence of characters without any structure. We are not considering any structure. For example, if it is if I consider like Ethernet is there, we have some kind of format, right? What will be there in the first field, what will be there in the second byte, third byte, like that. But when I consider this flat namespace, I am not following any structure. Okay, randomly whatever the name I get, I am trying to keep. So what happens with this one? The name may or may not have common parts. So it's like first I got some system, so I am giving A, next I am giving B, and so on till Z I have given. Next, when next name comes, I might be giving A, AB, AC. Okay, after that again I will go like that. I am going to have some kind of name to each and every system. So when I consider individual systems, I may have some common part, I may not have some common part. When I consider these two things, I have a common part A, okay. But when I consider B, C, D and AA, I do not have any common part. If the common part is there, they won't have any meaning. For example, I have a common part here, like AB and ABC. AB is common in that one. So does it carry any meaning? It doesn't carry any meaning. Okay. So when we consider this flat namespace, we are trying to give some characters, sequence of characters as name. And when I consider this sequence of characters as name, I may have some common parts or I may not have any common parts. If I consider like I have some common part also, it may not be having any name. Okay. So if I have some 100 systems, it will be easy for me to give naming. If I have 1000 systems, even if it is difficult, I can go and name. But if I have millions of systems, what is the length I have to consider like this? A, B, C, D like that. The length of the name will be very, very big. So to use that one or to remember that one, it will be very difficult. Rather than remembering that name, it will be easy for me to remember 4 byte IP address. Okay. Whatever the problem we considered is to remember IP address, it will be difficult for the person, human being. So we are going with name. If I consider name which is bigger than 4 byte, then there is no point in using this name, right? So when it comes to large systems like internet, it must be centrally controlled for avoiding duplication. Like in this college, I may be given some name, but if I go to other college, there also I will say like this is the computer of computer networks lab. This is the computer of EDC lab. Okay, so if I don't have central authority, you are going to have duplication in this particular thing, and we do not want those kind of things. That is the reason we are going with another type which is called as hierarchical namespace. Okay, each name is made of several parts. In the previous case, when I considered flat namespace, we said like there is no structure, but here we are going to have some kind of structure. Okay, so it's like several parts are there. Each part will be handled by a particular authority or individual organization. It depends. So for example, it can be nature of organization. When I say nature of organization, it can be commercial organization or it can be government organization. It may be some business. For example, for our college we have gnits.ac.in. It's not some fancy thing which we are taking and keeping over here. It has some name. GNITS. This is the college name I am trying to keep. AC stands for academic institution. IN stands for India. Okay. Google.com. Google is the name. COM is the commercial organization. Facebook.com. Gmail.com. Similarly, for some of the things you will have EDU, Educational Institute. Okay. So like that, you are going to have some kind of structure for this. So that structure or the part, it can be based on nature of organization, like whether it is government organization, academic, commercial, education, business. Okay. Similarly, I may have name of the organization, like you see here, GNITS. Okay. Department in organization, like when I go to several individual departments in GNITS, you are going to have like gnits.ac.in/EPE or /ECE. Okay, like that department in organization, like that you may have this URL or the name you may have like that. So the authority to assign the namespace can be decentralized. Okay, we are not saying like whatever the name, for example, gnits.ac.in is there or google.com is there, that entire name will be given by one particular entity, like that we are not saying. Okay, it is divided. Central authority takes care of nature of organization and name of organization. Okay, so for example, if everything we are giving to individual persons to come up with names, what they will do is, I am considering GNITS. Similarly, there may be another organization which will also consider GNITS. To whom we should give? It will be a problem, right? So, first, for example, our college has went and approached and they got this name. Okay, the other person, they will be slightly changing this particular name. So, the central authority decides on what is the nature of organization. For example, in our case, this is AC, Academic Institute, and name of the organization. Like it can be GNITS, it can be Facebook, it can be WhatsApp. Okay, like that. The rest of the part can be given to the organization. Okay, so they have given the name gnits.ac.in. Apart from that, whatever the extensions you have for individual department, that you can consider. The organization can add suffixes to the name to define its host or resources. Okay, you can keep on adding your suffixes. The management of the organization need not worry about the prefix chosen is taken by any other organization. Whatever the additions you are considering here, we can make sure like this is not taken by anybody else. Like for example, let me see if I have any example. Okay, let's see here. I have a system and the system name is Challenger. Okay, and this is available at ATC and FHDA, like some university, and that is educational institute. The same name Challenger I can also have in GNIMS. So it can be like Challenger dot GNITS dot AC dot. Okay, the same way how they are considering, we are considering. So we need not worry that Challenger is being utilized by some other university here because the remaining part is different. Okay, so like that we can have variation here. So that's what we are considering. When I consider namespace, I can have either flat namespace or I can also have hierarchical namespace. When I consider flat namespace, we have some of the issues. To overcome that one, we are going with hierarchical namespace. Again, in hierarchical namespace, when we consider central authority, we have the role like it can take care of nature of organization and name of the organization, and the rest of the part it is up to the organization to decide what it wants to keep, the prefixes and suffixes. Okay. Then we have domain namespace, like how the naming is there. Okay. When I consider, we will discuss here label, domain name, and domain. These are the things we will be considering here. So when I consider domain namespace, I have something called as label. Label means each node in the tree has a label. Okay, this DNS basically has you have seen this looks like this much big. Okay, a tree will be there. This will be the root node we will be calling, under which we are going to have several first level categories. Okay, again under that one you are going to have several categories, like that you are going to have. So a label is nothing but, for example, if I consider a particular node here, this is ARPA. This is CONCOM. They are the names of this particular nodes. Okay. So label is like it is given for a particular node in this particular tree, and this is a string which can have a maximum of 63 characters. And the root label is a null string. That means root label we will be representing with a dot. Okay. And DNS requires the children of a node to have different levels. When I consider parent node has some name GNITS, the children node, like if it has three children should have different name. They cannot be same. Okay. Then I have domain name. Each node in the tree has a domain name. Like first you are going to have label that is given for a particular node, and you are going to have domain. Domain is nothing but for that particular node. Okay, if I have tree like this, okay, so for this node this is the domain, for this node this is the domain. Okay, like that you are going to have domains here. So each node in the tree has a domain name. For example, we said like each node will have some label, right? Similarly, when I consider each domain, it is going to have some domain name. A full domain name is a sequence of labels separated by dots. We will see how we will be having this one, full domain name. The domain names are always read from node to the root. That means always we will be going from this node and all the way we will be going up. If I want to specify a particular domain name, start at that particular node, read all the way till root node. The last label is the label of root, that is null. This means the full name always ends with a null label, which means the last character is a dot because null string is nothing. Okay. So overall domain name is nothing but, if I consider a particular node, it is going to have a label and it is going to have some domain name. And how I will be getting the domain name? Start from here, all the way travel till root node, and whatever the intermediate nodes we have, they are also going to have some labels, and these labels will be separated with a dot. Then I will be getting the corresponding domain name. Okay, and always remember the domain name. If it is full domain name, it has to end with some dot. Okay, so see here. So I have a root node and I have this much big tree. Okay, I can consider all these are like all these things are children of the root node, and you can see here we do not have any common name. Almost all the names are different. Okay. Similarly, if I consider a particular node, this particular node, this is the label given for that, and this is the label given for this node. This is the label given for this node. If I consider what is the domain name, okay, if I consider this domain, this is the area under which this particular node is there, and the domain name of that one is edu dot, because this particular thing is specified with a dot. Okay. Similarly, I have this one. This is org dot. Okay. Like that, we have label and domain name. So you can see here. So we have each node and the corresponding labels, okay, as given here. And when I consider domain, for example, for this one, the domain is challenger. Okay, this is the label separated with a dot, and again this name, this name, this name, this name. All the way we are traveling till root node. So challenger.atc.fhda.edu dot. Okay. Similarly, if I consider this one, atc.fhda.edu.root. If I consider this one, fhda.edu.root. Okay. So is it clear how we are giving this domain names and labels? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have two things here. One is fully qualified domain name and other one is partially qualified domain name. When I consider fully qualified domain name, starting from that node, okay, till root node, I am going to have name. Then I can say that is fully qualified domain name. If I do not have something like that, then it is called partially qualified domain name. So for example, you see here, challenger.atc.fhda.edu. Okay. After that, I also have a pointer. Okay. Then this is fully qualified domain name. You compare these two things. Okay. You compare this one and this one. Okay. Both have complete name, but for this one, I do not have the last root node. Dot I do not have, but here I have that dot. That is the variation. That is the reason that is not fully qualified domain name. Again, I have this one. .com dot is not there, so this is not fully qualified domain name. Similarly, here I have complete name, but here I have only www, which is just a label I can say, but not domain name. Okay. And when I consider domain namespace, a domain is a subtree of the domain namespace. Okay. So for example, if I consider this as complete DNS, domain namespace, and this domain is the subtree of this entire DNS. This is another subtree. Again, I have another subtree here. Okay, this one. Okay, so like that, domain is subtree of domain namespace. And the name of the domain is the name of the node at the top of that subtree. Okay, so what is the node available at that particular top? The name of that one will be considered as domain name. Okay, again going back here, we have seen what is the domain name, what is the label. Okay, and also from this one we can see what are the subdomains we have. That is the terminology I have. Next we will see how DNS is distributed in the internet. Okay, when I consider distribution of namespace, we have hierarchy of name servers, we have zones, root server, primary and secondary servers. We will get to know about this terminology. So hierarchy of name servers, it will be like this. I am going to have root server under which I am going to have Arca server, education server, commercial server, server related to United States. Again under commercial, I have McGraw-Hill, Irving. Again under educational, I have FHDA, Berkeley. Okay, like that different educational institutes. Like that we are going to have hierarchy of this name servers. Then zone. Zone is nothing but, for example, domain and zone, they can be same or they can be different. Okay. Domain is nothing but whatever the subtree I have under me, that is considered to be domain. Zone is nothing but whatever the area under which I have my control, that is considered to be zone. Okay. So see here, for this particular node, I have this area which is both zone and domain. That means in this entire region, MHHE domain will take care of all the activities. But when I consider this .com label or .com domain, which is like this, okay, which is like this, it has different zone. Okay, so this is taken care by MHHE and there is another zone here. Okay, like that zone and domain can be different. Okay, zone is the area in which the corresponding domain will be taking care its actions. A primary server loads all information from the disk file. Okay, about all the DNS like DNS information, this primary server will be loading. The secondary server loads all the information from primary server. Okay, primary server, it is getting the information from disk file. Secondary server, it is getting the information from primary server. When the secondary server downloads information from primary, it is called as zone transfer. Okay, basically when you are transferring the information from secondary server to primary server to secondary server, that process is called zone transfer. Why do we need primary and secondary server is, in general primary server will be working, but in case if there is any problem, secondary server will take care of the functions of primary server. Okay. Next, DNS in the internet. So the DNS is divided into different domains: generic domains, country domains, inverse domain, and registrar. So see here, the root node, it is being divided into inverse domain, generic domain, and country domains. Again we have division. When I consider generic domains, I have different things. Aero stands for aeronautical, this is for business, commercial, cooperative units, educational, government, infotainment, okay, information technology. Like that we are going to have different types of organizations. So these are generic domains. Again under this one, for example, if I consider EDU, I have FHDA, I have ATC, I have Challenger. Okay, so that name is given here. For example, IN is let's consider country. Country name anyway it is there in next one. What else we can see here? Okay, for example, okay, let us see this one. I can consider under this one. I have Facebook. Okay, under the same thing I have Google. Okay, these are commercial organizations. Like that you can have. Similarly, EDU. For example, let us consider some IIT, IITM.edu. Okay, or JNTUH. Like if the organization is very big, which can be considered under EDU, we will have here, or the other organizations we are going to have in under .ac domain. Okay, like that we have different generic domains. So see here, Aero is for airlines and aerospace companies, business, commercial, cooperative business, educational, government, information services, okay, international organizations, military groups, like that we are going to have different generic domains. Similarly, we are going to have country domains, okay. For each country you are going to have some kind of naming. Okay, so here for example, we have some De Anza College, which is there in US. Okay, they are referring to that one. Anza, CUP, CA, California, and US. Similarly, I may have IN, okay, under which I may be having academic institutions, under which I have GNITs. Okay, when I want to specify the domain name of this GNITs, I'll say like gnits.ac.in. Okay, basically while typing in Google, you won't give this last, like you will just type www.google.com, but you won't specify the last dot. But by default, the system is designed to take this one. Okay, you don't have to enter that. Then I have inverse domain. For example, like basically this resolver, we have DNS resolver. What it has to do is, it has to take care of converting from namespace to IP address to namespace. That process it has to do. For example, whenever you have any, whenever the system needs some information, it contacts DNS client, which is available in your system, and the DNS client, it tries to contact resolver or DNS server to provide the sufficient information. For example, if you are fetching for IP address by giving google.com something like that, then it will get that one. But if you are having name but you want IP address, IP address is there and you want name, in that case also you will be able to get it. So for historical purposes, we have these two things, ARPA and inverse address labels here, after which I am going to have this address. So basically the IP address here is 121, the IP address is 132.34.45.121, but when this inverse domain takes this IP address, it reads in the opposite direction, like 121.45.34.132 inverse address. This is the index. So when this value is given to the DNS server, it fetches what is the corresponding name. Okay. So is that part clear? Like what is DNS, how DNS is there in the internet, and what is invert domain? Those things are clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.